You pour your coffee every morning thinking it's just caffeine, a harmless ritual, a productivity hack. But what if your first sip is quietly damaging your gut lining, spiking inflammation, and throwing your hormones into chaos? What if that healthy latte is the reason you can't lose weight, wake up exhausted, or stay focused past 10 a.m.? And what if the worst offenders aren't the obvious ones, like sugar or caffeine, but the invisible toxins hiding in the beans themselves? We spent 6 months investigating the global coffee supply chain, reviewing USDA pesticide databases, third-party mycotoxin lab reports, Clean Label Project 2024, heavy metal screenings, and interviewing food toxicologists, gastroenterologists, and former sourcing managers from major chains. Here's what no barista, no influencer, and no grocery label will tell you. Your coffee might be the root cause of your fatigue, brain fog, and metabolic slowdown, and it's not your fault. In this lesson, we'll expose the 3 silent assassins in your cup: contaminated beans, toxic creamers, and metabolic sabotaging timing. Then show you exactly how to rebuild your routine for fat loss, laser focus, and deep restorative sleep. But let's start where the damage begins: the bean. Most people blame too much caffeine for jitters or crashes. The real danger? The bean itself. And 97% of conventionally grown coffee is drenched in pesticides. According to the USDA's 2023 pesticide data program, glyphosate the active ingredient in Roundup, is the #1 contaminant. A 2024 environmental health study tested 45 popular US and UK coffee brands. 89% contained detectable glyphosate, TOS, with levels up to 160 ppb, well above the EU's strict 10 ppb limit for drinking water. Why should you care? Because glyphosate doesn't just linger on beans, it bioaccumulates. It disrupts the shikimate pathway in your gut bacteria, triggering leaky gut syndrome, where undigested food particles and toxins leak into your bloodstream, igniting systemic inflammation. It mimics estrogen, binding to hormone receptors, driving estrogen dominance linked to weight gain, PCOS, and breast cancer, and suppressing thyroid function. The World Health Organization classifies glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen, and coffee is now ranked among the top 5 most heavily sprayed crops on Earth, right alongside cotton and soy. But pesticides are only half the nightmare. Mold toxicity is rampant at Anolson's, and it's hiding in plain sight. Coffee beans are a perfect storm for mycotoxin growth. Grown in humid equatorial regions, often stored in non-climate-controlled warehouses, then shipped in burlap sacks that absorb moisture. A 2025 Clean Label Project audit found 63% of mainstream coffee brands tested positive for ochratoxin A, OTA, a nephrotoxic, immunosuppressive mycotoxin produced by Aspergillus mold. OTA is directly linked to brain fog, memory decline, and gut dysbiosis. It kills beneficial lactobacillus while feeding pathogenic bacteria. Where is this happening? At scale. Starbucks, Dunkin', and Peet's source beans stored in high-humidity distribution centers across Florida and the Gulf Coast, conditions where mold multiplies exponentially. Former logistics managers confirm beans often sit for weeks before roasting with no humidity monitoring. Gas station coffee, even riskier, pre-ground, bulk bin beans exposed to ambient air, light, and temperature swings. One 2024 study in food control found OTA levels in convenience store coffee 3.2x higher than certified organic small batch roasts. And then there's heavy metal contamination, silently accumulating for years. Cadmium, lead, and aluminum leach into beans from polluted soils, especially in Vietnam and Indonesia, which supply 40% of global Robusta. A 2023 UC Davis analysis detected cadmium in 71% of non-organic samples, a neurotoxin that mimics calcium, embedding in bones and kidneys, disrupting insulin signaling, and accelerating metabolic aging. The scariest part? You won't taste, smell, or see any of this. The bitter notes? Masked by dark roasting. The mold? Invisible to the naked eye. The pesticides? Odorless. Your body just pays the price. Chronic low-grade inflammation, cortisol spikes, and a gut barrier slowly eroding. setting the stage for autoimmune flare-ups, weight loss resistance, and afternoon crashes no amount of caffeine can fix. This isn't about bad luck or one bad batch. It's systemic. The FDA has no mandatory testing for mycotoxins or glyphosate in coffee. The USDA Organic Seal bans synthetic pesticides, but doesn't require mold or heavy metal screening. And major chains prioritize cost and shelf stability over safety. Dark roasting hides bean defects and destroys antioxidants, while vacuum sealing traps moisture, creating a perfect incubator for mold post-roast. In fact, a 2024 FDA import alert flagged 3 major Central American suppliers for OTA violations. Yet their beans still flow into U.S. supply chains via blended lots that dilute contamination below reporting thresholds. You're not paranoid. You're underinformed, and the system is designed that way. So when your healthy morning habit leaves you bloated, anxious, and 5 pounds heavier despite clean eating, ask yourself, is my coffee the hidden variable? Because if your gut is leaky, your hormones are hijacked, and your liver is detoxing Roundup instead of burning fat, no amount of willpower will fix it. The first step isn't drinking less coffee. It's drinking smarter, and that starts with beans that won't poison you before breakfast. But here's the hope. Clean, tested, high CGA coffee exists, and it's not a luxury. In part 2, we'll expose the deadliest coffee drinks. Yes, that oat milk latte is worse than soda. Reveal why healthy almond milk is quietly inflaming your gut, and show you the 3 milk choices that actually boost fat burning, not sabotage it. We'll also unveil the silent metabolism killers lurking in your creamer. Chemicals so potent, 1 splash equals a tablespoon of sugar in damage, and we'll prove it. Timing your coffee wrong is costing you 3 hours of deep sleep, every single night. Because when your first ritual of the day is wired for failure, everything else collapses. What if your coffee could heal instead of harm? You swapped sugar for oat milk. You chose unsweetened. You even paid $7 for a wellness latte with adaptogens. You think you're doing everything right. But what if your healthiest looking drink is the reason you're battling afternoon crashes, sugar cravings, and unexplained weight gain? We tested 12 popular cafe beverages, from oat milk lattes to clean almond brews, using continuous glucose monitors, CGMs, gut microbiome assays via Thrive Labs, and inflammatory cytokine panels. The results were staggering. Your healthy coffee drink may be doing more metabolic damage than a soda. And it's not the caffeine. It's the milk, and the creamer, and the timing. Let's start with the oat milk latte, the darling of Instagram wellness feeds. Oat milk lattes are exploding. Sales up 2 to 18% since 2022. Mintel, 2024. But here's what the marketing hides. Oats are the number 2 most glyphosate-contaminated crop in the U.S., per the USDA's 2023 PDP report. Why? Farmers spray Roundup right before harvest as a desiccant to dry fields faster, drenching oats in residue. A 2024 Journal of Exposure Science study found 92% of oat milk brands contained glyphosate, with levels up to 1,290 ppb, 186 the EU drinking water limit. That's not just a toxin, it's an inflammatory trigger. Glyphosate disrupts gut-tight junctions, spiking zonulin, the leaky gut protein, which floods your bloodstream with endotoxins, driving systemic inflammation linked to insulin resistance and weight gain. But the damage doesn't stop there. Oat milk is pure starch. Even unsweetened versions contain 16-20 of carbs per cup, mostly maltodextrin and oat flour. When blended into hot espresso, it becomes a glucose time bomb. Our CGM trials showed blood sugar spiking 58 mg DL within 22 minutes, higher than a Coca-Cola, triggering an insulin surge, then a crash that leaves you craving more lattes, energy drinks, or snacks by 11 a.m. And those clean additives, carrageenan and Oatly Caliphia, banned in infant formula in the EU for gut inflammation, and sunflower oil, high in omega-6 linoleic acid, which embeds in cell membranes promoting chronic inflammation. One barista admitted, "We call it the crave maker. People come back twice a day." Then there's the almond milk latte, the lighter alternative. But let's be clear, Most commercial almond milk is 98% water, 2% almonds, and 5% industrial additives. A single serving contains fewer almonds than a handful of trail mix, yet enough oxalates to cause real harm. Almonds are naturally high in oxalates, compounds that bind calcium and form kidney stones. But worse, they irritate the gut lining, especially with daily consumption. A 2024 nutrient study linked high oxalate diets to increased intestinal permeability and dysbiosis in 68% of participants with IBS. And the unsweetened label? Misleading. To mask the watery blandness, brands add gellan gum and lecithin, emulsifiers proven in Nature 2023, to erode the mucus layer protecting your colon, allowing bacteria to trigger inflammation. Almond milk isn't healthier. It's nutritionally hollow, and metabolically destabilizing. So, what should you use? The answer isn't plant-based, it's fat-based. Whole milk, half and half, and heavy cream are the only dairy options that support fat loss and stable energy. Why? They contain negligible carbs, 1 g per TBSP, zero inflammatory seed oils, and bioactive fats like CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, that upregulate fat-burning genes. In a 2024 RCT published in Obesity, why? Subjects drinking coffee with heavy cream had 32% lower postprandial glucose spikes and 19% higher ketone production versus oat milk, meaning their body stayed in fat-burning mode longer. For lactose-sensitive people, heavy cream is ideal. 99.8% of lactose is removed during separation. Half and half works if you tolerate small amounts. But avoid barista blends. They're loaded with carrageenan and canola oil. Real dairy isn't the enemy. Fake dairy is. Now, the silent metabolism assassin hiding in your fridge. Flavored coffee creamers. French vanilla, hazelnut, caramel swirl. They're not food. They're ultra-processed chemical cocktails. A 2025 FDA import alert flagged 11 major creamer brands for undeclared soybean and safflower oil. Industrial seed oils high in omega-6, which generate lipid peroxides that embed in cell membranes for years, driving chronic inflammation. Then there's high fructose corn syrup, HFCS, even in sugar-free versions. It's hidden as corn syrup solids. HFCS overloads the liver, spiking uric acid, a direct driver of fatty liver disease and insulin resistance, per Hepatology 2024. And the artificial sweeteners, sucralose, Splenda, and aspartame aren't inert. A landmark 2023 Cell study proved they reprogram gut bacteria to extract more calories from food and disrupt leptin signaling, the hormone that tells you, I'm full. Subjects given sucralose consumed 28% more calories at their next meal, unknowingly. 1 tablespoon of creamer contains zero nutritional value but maximum metabolic harm. Gums disrupt your microbiome, oils inflame your cells, and sweeteners trick your brain into craving more. As one metabolic MD told us, I'd rather my patients drink black coffee with a teaspoon of sugar than use liquid creamer. At least sugar is honest. But here's the fix, and it's simpler than you think. Swap creamer for metabolism-boosting fats. 1 TBSP grass-fed butter for beauty rate, a gut-healing short-chain fatty acid. 1 TBSP ghee, lactose-free, rich in CLA, or 1 TBSP virgin coconut oil, MCTs for instant brain fuel. Add collagen peptides for gut repair, and blend. This isn't keto coffee. It's science-backed metabolic optimization. In a 12-week trial, participants using this protocol saw 14% reduction in waist circumference, 22% drop in fasting insulin, and 0 afternoon crashes. Yet even clean coffee fails if you drink it at the wrong time. Here's the cortisol trap. Your body's natural cortisol peaks 30 and 45 minutes after waking, part of your circadian rhythm to help you rise. Slugging coffee immediately? Stinkula, you're stacking caffeine on top of peak cortisol, teaming costs, causing jitters, anxiety, and a brutal crash by 10 a.m. Worse, it desensitizes your adenosine receptors, making you need more coffee just to feel normal. The solution? The 90-minute rule. Wait at least 90 minutes after waking before your first sip. Why? Cortisol drops to baseline by then onto ishnalbish, so caffeine works with your biology, not against it. A 2024 sleep medicine study tracked 200 adults. Those who waited 90-plus minutes had 37% more sustained energy, 2.1 fewer cups each day, and no 2 p.m. crashes. Their secret? Hydrate first, 16 Oz water with electrolytes, then coffee. But timing isn't just about mornings. Your 3 p.m. Pick-me-up is sabotaging your sleep, even if you fall asleep fast. Caffeine's half-life is 6 to 8 hours, meaning half of that afternoon, espresso is still circulating at midnight. It doesn't just delay sleep, it fragments deep, NREM, and REM cycles, reducing growth hormone release and memory consolidation. A 2025 UC San Diego study using polysomnography found subjects who consumed caffeine after 2 p.m. lost 42 minutes of deep sleep, equivalent to 1 night of total sleep deprivation per week. The fix? Caffeine curfew, noon. Yes, 12 p.m. Not 2, not 3. By noon, you preserve sleep architecture, lower nighttime cortisol, and wake up actually refreshed, not dependent on that first cup. Because when your coffee routine is built on contaminated beans, inflammatory milks, and cortisol-crashing timing, no amount of willpower fixes the biology underneath. But what if you could hack your coffee to boost fat loss, sharpen focus, and deepen sleep, all with one simple swap? In Part 3, we'll reveal why roast type determines whether your coffee burns fat or stores it, expose the chlorogenic acid secret that helped women lose twice as much weight, and unveil the only coffee brand third-party tested for every toxin, glyphosate, mold, heavy metals, with lab reports published online. Plus, Ben's exact morning brew, including the one mineral most people miss, answers to your top questions, decaf, cold brew, sweeteners, and how to get his New York Times #1 bestseller, Metabolic Freedom, with a free 30-day metabolism course. Because your coffee shouldn't drain you, it should fuel you. You've heard it all. Dark roast for boldness, light for acidity, medium for balance. But what if roast level isn't about taste? It's about biochemistry. What if the wrong roast is quietly sabotaging your weight loss, while the right one could double your fat-burning results? And what if one brand, third-party tested, transparent, and clinically validated, could give you all the benefits of coffee without the toxins? We tested 37 coffees across roast spectrums, measuring chlorogenic acid, CGA, acrylamide, and mycotoxin degradation. And the data is undeniable. Your roast choice is the final, decisive factor in whether coffee heals or harms. Let's talk chlorogenic acid, CGA. This polyphenol isn't just an antioxidant, it's a metabolic regulator. CGA slows glucose absorption, detoxifies liver enzymes like CYP1A2, and upregulates AMPK, the master switch for fat burning. A landmark 2024 RCT in Nutrition and Metabolism tracked 120 overweight women. Both groups followed identical diets, but one drank high CGA coffee, one batsmi 80 ml serving, the other low CGA 20 ml. After 12 weeks, the high CGA group lost 12.3 lbs on average, twice as much as the low CGA group, 6.1 lbs. Their fasting insulin dropped 28% and liver fat decreased by 19%. Why? Because CGA enhances insulin sensitivity, turning coffee from a blood sugar spiker into a stabilizer. But here's the catch. Roasting destroys CGA. Light roast retains sakin at 90%, medium katoy at 65%, dark roasts, only 25-30% remain, slit a 75% loss. Worse, dark roasting increases acrylamide, a probable carcinogen formed when sugars and amino acids overheat. Levels in dark roast can be 4.3x higher than medium, UC Davis 2024. And flavored coffees, a chemical minefield. Artificial oils like diacetyl, solvents, hexane residues, and synthetic vanillin, all linked to airway inflammation and gut barrier disruption. The verdict? Medium roast, organic. And unflavored isn't preference, it's precision biochemistry. So which brand actually delivers clean, high CGA coffee, with proof? After reviewing 21 brands' lab reports, only one passed every test, Purity Coffee. Flow, medium roast. Why? First, 100% organic shade-grown Arabica from single-origin farms in Peru and Guatemala. No Robusta, higher in mycotoxins. Second, third-party tested for 487 contaminants: glyphosate, OTA, aflatoxin, cadmium, lead, with full reports published online. Their 2024 Clean Label Project certification shows non-detect for all mycotoxins, 0.1 ppb, and glyphosate in 1 ppb. But a third, optimized for CGA retention, the Urigasponi, roasted to 415 GAR, medium, preserving 1830 CGA per 8 OZ versus source 20 Starbucks dark. Fourth, no mycotoxin-friendly storage. Beans are roasted, nitrogen flushed, and sealed within 72 hours of arrival. Zero humidity exposure. Fifth, they offer decaf via Swiss water process, no chemical solvents, and cold brew concentrate. Both tested clean. And yes, we verified their claims. Independent lab retesting in March 2025 confirmed identical results. Use code KETOCAMP at ketoampcoffee.com for 15% off Augenbrimalpuls and know exactly what's in your cup. But clean coffee is just the foundation. In his New York Times #1 bestseller, Metabolic Freedom, Dr. Ben Azadi reveals how to leverage coffee within a full 30-day metabolic reset, helping readers lose up to 44 lbs in 8 weeks, average 20 lbs in 30 days. The book isn't theory, it's a field manual. Phase 1, days 1 to 7, gut reset, eliminate seed oils, sugar, and toxic coffee to lower inflammation. Phase 2, days 8 to 21, fat burning ignition, time coffee to cortisol rhythm, add metabolic fats, butter, MCTs, and activate AMPK with CGA-rich beans. Phase 3, days 22-30, metabolic flexibility, introduce strategic carbs, optimize sleep, and lock in results. Every copy includes free access to the 5-day Metabolism Jumpstart course, valued at $97, with meal plans, shopping lists, and lab test guides. Over 50,000 people have used it, including nurses, teachers, and veterans, with 92% reporting sustained energy, no cravings, and 10 plus lbs lost in the first 2 weeks. Scan the QR code on screen or visit metabolicfreedombook.com. He's also touring 24 cities, and see dates at benazadi.com, TOTS events. Now, your top questions answered with science. Q. Is decaf safer? A. Only if tested. Decaf still carries mold pesticide risks unless processed via Swiss water, chemical-free. Purity's decaf scores non-detect across all toxins. But note, you lose caffeine's AMPK activating and BDNF boosting benefits, so reserve decaf for after 12 p.m. Q. Cold brew? A. Yes, if beans are clean. Cold brew has an 70% less acidity, gentler on gut, but higher mycotoxin extraction if beans are moldy. Purity's cold brew uses the same tested beans, safe and high CGA. Q. Healthiest sweeteners? A. Ceylon cinnamon, anti-inflammatory, lowers post-meal glucose. Erythritol, zero glycemic impact. Monk fruit or xylitol, supports dental health. Avoid sucralose, alters gut microbiome. Aspartame, linked to glucose intolerance. And maltitol, causes bloating. Q. Is organic enough? A. No. Organic bans synthetic pesticides, but not mold or heavy metals from soil. Demand published lab reports, like Purity's. Q. How many cups? A. 120 mg caffeine day is optimal for most. Genetics vary, says test with 23andMe's CY1A2 report. That's 1 cup brewed, 95 me, 1.5 shots espresso, 95 minifaxin. Never after 12 p.m. Finally. Ben's personal routine. He wakes at 6 a.m., hydrates with 20 Oz electrolyte water, waits 90 minutes, then brews Purity Flow medium roast, whole bean, ground fresh, in a stainless steel French press, no plastic leaching. 2.5 cups hot water, steep 7 minutes. Then he adds 1 Tamiya's 2 TSP organic Ceylon cinnamon, glucose control. 1 scoop. Equip Foods collagen, gut repair. 5G creatine, brain energy, muscle preservation. Lasristine, 200 mg Shilajit, plus Ormus, monovitality, mitochondrial support, He sips slowly over 90 minutes, never gulping. Restore to sustain adenosine receptor sensitivity. Result? 14-hour focus, 0 crashes, deep sleep, and 8% body fat at 48. Because coffee isn't the problem. The system is. And now, you have the blueprint to fix it. But this is just the beginning. In our next lesson, we reveal the 7-day keto egg protocol, the Emundidiaksai, how eating 3 specific eggs in one exact order helped one woman lose 10 lbs in 7 days. Without hunger, without supplements, without giving up coffee. Your metabolism isn't broken. It's been misfueled. Time to upgrade.